Hello and welcome to Mathematics Made Easier channel. This is your favorite mathematics tutor, Comfort Amwako Ata. I welcome you all to my class this minute. If today is the very first one of you joining my class, a special welcome goes to you. If you are yet to subscribe to my channel, please look down there and click on the subscribe button to subscribe. And you also click on the notification bell to be the first to be updated whenever I upload a new tutorial. Thank you. Alright, so for today, we are still continuing with our integers, but we are going to look at coordinate plane and how to plot polygons or how to draw polygons in a coordinate plane, as well as how to relate it to our everyday life activities. So now pick your jotters as you come along with me for today's class. But today we are going to use a book called the Big Ideas book. That is what my kids use, so I'm going to use with you. So this is the chapter 8, and we have treated most of the questions. All right, so, but we are going to treat rational numbers on its own as a standard on its own. Okay, we have already gone through the absolute values and compare and ordering integers on its own. We've already done all these ones. Good. So now let's quickly go to our main standard for today, which is the coordinate plane. All right, so under the coordinate plane, first we're going to look at the warm-up activities. Warm-up activities are activities we do just to kickstart the lesson as a form of refreshing your mind, or it's a relevant previous knowledge on what we are going to learn. Right? Good. That's a relevant previous knowledge on what we are going to learn. Then we use that to build on today's standard or today's lesson. So now let's take a quick review on the key ideas in our standard. So we are going to look at what coordinate plane is, what origin is. I hope I'm sharing my screen. Let me stop sharing and share it again and make sure I'm sharing it. Okay. All right, so we have coordinate plane, we have origin, and we have quadrants. So by the end of the lesson, you should be able to define these key vocabularies in the standard. When you say coordinate plane, what is it? Origin, what is it? And quadrant, what is it? So we have coordinate plane to be, let me just go through with you. Sorry. All right. So a coordinate plane is formed by the intersection of a horizontal. You know horizontal. You should be able to identify what a horizontal line is and a vertical line is. So the intersection of a horizontal line and a vertical line, right? That is that. Then the number lines intersects at the origin, and separates the coordinate plane into 4 regions called quadrants. So we have the horizontal line. This is a horizontal line, and that is our x-axis. And our vertical line becomes our y-axis, and then they intersect at the origin called the 0, 0, right? And they split out into, or they separate into 4 quadrants. We have the quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. First quadrant, the second quadrant, the third quadrant, and the fourth quadrant. If you know these basics, you wouldn't have any problem with plotting of points. So you should be able to identify the x-axis, should be able to identify the y-axis, should be able to identify the origin, should be able to identify the 4 quadrants. That was why we started with integers and numbering of number lines. So we learned how to number the number line, the positive, the negative, positive, negative. So with this, we now cross out two number lines together and we form our coordinates plane. So math is a build-up. We build on what we learn. Okay, so, and again, let's see an ordered pair. An ordered pair, for example, we have 4, -2. The first number or the first coordinate becomes the x coordinate, and the second coordinate becomes our y coordinate. So if you are plotting points on the coordinate plane, you first of all identify the first number from the x-axis before you look it up on the y-axis. Someone will say we walk before we jump, right? Good. So walking is the x-axis before you jump to the y-axis. All right, so being able to define these various terms, let's now move to okay, hold on. All right, so we've been able to identify the key ideas in our lesson. Now we come to some examples. We look at some examples of how to plot all the other pairs in a coordinate plane. I don't know whether you can.
Yeah, T. A. -3, -3. B. -3, 3. C. 3, -3. D. 3, 3. Point T is unit right version and unit down. So the x coordinate is 3 and the y coordinate is -3. Order there 3, -3 corresponds to point T. The correct answer is point C.
Good. And I believe you were able to hear everything. Good. All right, so we've been able to identify the ordered pair that corresponds to point B, right? And point B is 3 units to the right, which is +3. Then 3 units down, that is negative on the y-axis. Right. So now the coordinate becomes what? 3, -3. And the correct answer is C, 4 points. C. All right, now let's look at some examples. So plot 3, -1 in a coordinate plane and describe the location of the points. So 3, -1 means I'll move 3 units to the right from the origin. This 1, 2, 3, good. Then -1 means I will come down, I won't go up. So I'll come down 1 unit down. So this is where I will land. So -3, 3, -1 be on this side. And the location is where, which quadrant can you find this? And this can be found in quadrant 4. Quadrant 4, that is when the x is positive and the y is negative. Good. Let's move to the next problem. Okay. So the point is located in quadrant 4. All right, let's move to the next one, which is we are plotting. Okay, hold on. Let me please. Let me put my laptop on charge. All right. So we are plotting -5, 0 in the coordinate plane. Then we describe it, the location of the point. So -5 from the x-axis, that is 5 units to the left from the origin 0. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 0 is on the line. So this is the location, or this is the point, -5, 0, and the location is, which location can you find this? All right. So guys, you can do so many examples on your own with this. With the plotting, first identify the points. The first number should be on the x-axis, and the second number should be on the y-axis, right? Good. Okay. Then I want to we have to learn how to reflect points. For example, if I'm standing in front of a mirror, what do I see? Especially my ladies, you see a reflection of yourself. And so if you move 5 steps, your reflected image should also move forward 5 steps, right? Good. So how many steps, the number of steps you move, the object moves, is what your image will also move, right? Good, 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 good. But the only thing that changes is what it is laterally inverted. And we are not going to go with that deeper into that. We are just going to reflect points on the x-axis, on the y-axis, and on both axes. So let's see whether we are going to hear this.
Reflect one. One. Step 2. Reflect one in the x-axis.
So the first step is what? Plot the points before you reflect the points. So we are reflecting the points 2, 1 in the x-axis. So first you plot the point 2 units to the right from 0, and y units up. Then you get a 2, 1. How do we reflect the points? The x-axis will be a mirror line, or a point, or point of reflection, right? So it means you ask yourself, how many steps do I move to get to my mirror line? And you have to move just 1 step to touch the mirror line. So the number of steps you move the same one to get to your reflected image. So this becomes the point.
Reflecting axis, you can say x coordinate 2, and with the opposite y coordinate. You have to say 1. Reflection 1. 1. Right tells you follow by axis. When reflecting a second time, the third piece reflecting it not the original. So step 3 reflects -1 on y-axis. Reflect y-axis, you can say y coordinate -1 and take the opposite of the x coordinate. The opposite is -2. Reflection of -1 on y-axis, -2, -1. So the reflection of 1 is on the y-axis, -2, 1.
That is all. So the common mistake we do is we don't reflect the reflected points. If you are reflecting this on the x-axis and as well as the y-axis, you have to reflect the reflected point and not the main point. So for this one, when we reflected it on the x-axis, the next reflection we should use the reflected point and not the main point. Don't forget that. If you move the main point to the y-axis, that will be wrong. But if you move the reflected point, that will be correct. So if you're reflecting this to the y-axis, you move how many steps or how many units to touch the y-axis 2. So you move 2 units again from the y-axis. and that is where your reflected points will be. This is very simple, so you should be able to do that. So let's just look at one example under this. Then move to the next thing. All right, so we have the first example here, reflects 2, 3 in the x-axis, followed by the y-axis. So the reflected point is what? So how do we reflect 2, 3 in the x-axis? So 2, 3 will be, if I'm to draw my coordinates, okay, let's quickly draw something. All right, so this is my coordinate plane, right? This is my arrowhead showing the direction in which I'm moving. All right, so I have 0, then I have 1, up to 3 should be enough. Okay. Right, so then I have -1, -2, -3. That is numbers to the left from the origin. +1, +2, +3. Now from the origin, -1, -2, -3. Good. So 2, 3 will be 1, 2, 3. Then also 3, 2, that's the point. 1, 2, 3. Then we move 2 up because the +2. All right, so this is where our points will be. And we are reflecting this in the x-axis. So how many units did you move? 2 units. So it means you have to move 2 units again down. They should be the same distance as you did. Good. So this would be our reflected point, which would be 3, -2, right? Good. 3, -2. All right, perfect. Then if you are reflecting this in the y-axis, don't forget, we reflect the reflected points. We move the reflected points. So in the y-axis would be how many units from the origin? 1, 2, 3. Good. Just move 3 units again to the left. So 1, 2, 3. So this is basically where our reflected points will be. And the coordinates will be, we have -3, -2. -3, -2. Good. So I don't like using formulas, but if you are to use a formula for this, you can see that for y-axis, we maintain the y coordinates and negate the, if for reflection in the x-axis, we maintain our x coordinates and reflect the y coordinates. Reflection in the y coordinates, we maintain the y coordinates and reflect the opposite, which is the x coordinate, and negate the x coordinate. It's simple, but I am always interested in me plotting and seeing everything for myself without a formula, because when students tend to forget a formula, they tend to forget everything. Okay, so I'll leave this for you as an assignment. You do this one, reflect -1, 2 in the x-axis, then you followed it by the y-axis. Again, you reflect -4, -3 in the x-axis, and you followed it by the y-axis. Don't forget 1, plot a point, and 2, count how many units you take to get to your reflected line or your mirror line. If you're reflecting the x-axis becomes your mirror line or your point of focus. Then the same number of steps you take. Take the same number of steps to get your reflected point. And that will be all for you. All right, so now we come to modeling real life problems. So, we can relate this one to our real life problems. So let's watch one video on that, then see how best we can reflect or we can apply this in our real life, everyday life activities, right? That is when you will say that you are applying mathematics to solve everyday life problems.
Summer, forget the word there. First word. Second word, white. People. Wow. You can take 46. Zero, 1, 5, 2, 3, 4, 8, 3, 1, 2, 8. Thank you, thank you for today. Currently, decrease the negative and increase from the
Guys, we are there. So one, we've been able to plot ordered pairs on in the coordinate plane. But before then, we look at the key points or the key vocabularies in our lesson. Ordered pair, origin, and coordinate plane. So after being able to identify the key vocabularies, we now solve issues on that, okay? All right. We now solve problems on that. And we've been able to also apply this lesson to solve some everyday life challenge. And we were able to interpret our graph based on the data we had, right? All right, so this brings us to the end of today's class. I believe this tutorial was helpful. If it was, don't forget to give me a thumbs up down there, and also share the links to your friends and colleagues. So we meet again. Please stay safe and learn hard. So our next lesson will be on how to draw polygons in a coordinate plane before we move to the next one, right? All right, so keep sharing the links to your friends and keep staying tuned to this lesson. Something big is coming. Let's expect something great from Mathematics Made Easier. I always think of how best I can help students out there with mathematics, and I believe we will get there one day. So we meet again. Please stay safe and learn hard. Love you. Bye.